And we are live, you guys. It's almost the start of 3 weeks of this isolation, which is becoming a drag, but we're going to continue moving forward and working hard because we have to. So, I just can't tell you enough that you guys, if you're doing your work every day, you're going to get a fine grade. A couple of things I want to show. One is the homework sheet, which I will upgrade in the grade book as soon as I can, and I put the test scores in there. So again, I want to emphasize to you that if you take the test and I email you back, or if I Zoom you back or video you back, you can fix your test and improve your grade. So there's no retake. There's no retake. You just have to go, take the test, get the right answers, show me the right answers, and then there you go, right? So anyway, everybody can get an A. You just have to try. Remember that whole thing about try? So if you don't have a copy of the test, please, here it is again. Here's test. Here's the test. Here's page 1. Here's page 2. And here's page 3. And if you need me to send you a picture of it, just text me and I will, okay? Anyway, it's really important we get this done. So I'm going to have to start calling parents again here pretty soon. So most of you are doing a really good job. There's a few of you that aren't doing anything. I think you need to understand that if you don't do anything, you'll have to take the class over again, and that's just going to suck because we don't want to do that. So, what do we got going for today? Well, a couple of things. One, we're going to start a new chapter. We're going to start chapter 6, and it talks about exponential functions. Exponential functions. Okay, so, wow, the best example is coronavirus, which is sad to say, but coronavirus is looking like this. It started out really small in Washington State, and then it is just growing like this. And this is what we're worried about. We're worried about it growing. That's why we're social distancing, but this is exponential. See the shape of it? It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. What we'd like is for it to look like this, which is also exponential, but in a decay form. So this is what we call growth. This is bad. This is what we're experiencing right now. We don't want this graph to go off the chart because then a lot of people die, which is really bad. We want the graph to look like this, where we start to level off and get less and less and less and less. This is also exponential, but this is decay. All right, so these graphs kind of look like this, where they're called exponentials because the exponent's where the x is. So example, let's look at example 1. I have a y equals a 2 to the x power, okay? So it's exponential because the exponent is the x. That's why we call it exponential. It's not 2x, but it's 2 to the x. So what we want to do is figure out what this graph looks like. So we're going to do a t-table, okay? So I'm just going to do a little chart. And I'm going to plug some numbers in, okay? So like any chart, x, y would be the answer. And I can pick any numbers I want to plug in, but let's plug in easy ones. Let's plug in, for instance, seriously, let's plug in easy numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's see what happens, okay? So calculators are always nice to have. You've got one on your phone. I just happen to have one of these fancy ones with me. So if I did, let's see, 2 to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so I'm going to have an answer of 1. I'm going to go, and I'm going to plug 2 into here. So I'm going to go then plug in 1 right there. I'm going to go 2 to the 1 power. I get 2, kind of expected that. Alright, and then I'm going to put 2 right here. So 2 to the 2, which we know is 4. You know that. 2 to the 2 is 4. And put 2 here. 2 to the 3rd power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. But again, just use your calculator if you're not sure. 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Okay. And then I'm going to go 2 to the 4th power, which is 16. 2 to the 4th power is 16 because it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So I get 16. Okay, so let's graph this and see what it looks like. Okay. Got to get my ruler. Well, all right. Here we go. And I'm going to need graph paper to do this. So if you don't have graph paper today, you're going to need to get graph paper, okay? So, all right, let's see what's going on. so these are my x values. These are my y values. I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have my y values. Goes all the way up to 16. Wow. Might have to go by 2s maybe. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so if I do a dot to dot, a little scatter plot kind of thing. Okay, so I put a dot at 0, 1. It's right about there. Put a dot at 1, 2. At 3, 8. Let's see, that's 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, I got the wrong spot, don't I? Darn, I hate when that happens. I got 0, 1. I got 1, 2. I got 2, 4. Darn it. Ignore that. Mr. Davies made a mistake. 3, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. There we go. That's the line. I'm going to connect the dots because there are numbers in between, okay? Now, what happens is this graph on the other side continues to go down, because then we could also plug in, for instance, negative numbers. I could plug in -1, -2, so I plug in -1, -2, and if I use my calculator to do that, I go 2 to the -1 power. I get 0.5, and that's where I've got my -1 and about 0.5. If I plug my -2, I'm going to go 2 to the -2 power, and I get about 0.125, which is really like 1/4, so that's there. So hopefully what you see is it's always doubling. If you take a look at it, it goes from a value of 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, and it's doubling. Okay, and that's it. So exponential growth. Ignore that point. Okay, now let's look at exponential decay. So the other graph I want to look at is this one. Example 2. If I have a y equals a 1/2 to the x power, okay? So if I start that and I plug in 1, I just want to real quickly show you. If I go 1/2, which is I go 1/2, and you guys can use your own phones, to the 1 power. If I go 1/2 to the 2 power, it's just getting smaller and smaller. If I go 1/2 to the 3 power, it's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, so let me see if I can show you kind of what I have for a graph here. Now I have to change my axes to make it fit. So let me put this down like this. All right. So what I'm going to do on this graph is I'm going to start my 1 way up here. So I'm going to make this 1 right here. So that's 1/2. That's 1/4, and I'll let the value of 1 be here. 2, 3. Okay. Alright, so let's do my t-table. I just kind of showed you my t-table. Let's make a t-table, a chart. Okay, here's my t-table or my chart. X, Y, and again, I like 0, 1, 2, 3 are good numbers to use, right? And then if I put in 0 for X, I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to use my calculator. So I'll put 0 in here for X, then I'll put 1 in here for X, then I'll put 2 in here for X, then I'll put 3 in here for X. So, alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I go, okay, let's go 1/2. Well, actually kind of have it here. Already showed it was, that was 1/2 to the 1 power. That was a 1/4. That turns out to be a 1/8, and this turns out to be a 1. Okay, you can try it on your calculator if you want to, but go 1/2 to the 0 power is 1. 1/2 to the 1 power is 0.5 or 1/2. 1/2 to the second power is 1/4, 0.25, and 1/2 to the third power is 0.12, which is 1/8. So what's going on? We're taking half of it each time. So our It's not a growth, it's a decay rate. I'm taking half of it each time, so my graph should look something like this. Okay, at 0 I've got a 1, at 1 I've got a 1/2, at 2 I've got a 1/4, at 3 I've got a 1/8. And so the graph looks like this. Okay, now what happens at -1? I don't know. I would think it'd be up here. So I could use my calculator. So if I go -1, I go 2 to the, I'm sorry, not 2, 1/2 to the -1 power, I get 2. So it kind of makes sense that it's going the opposite direction, so it's going down like this, and you can see the shape of it. The shape of it is kind of like a J. So this is decay, right? Alright, now, how am I doing? So let's turn the page, okay? So, next example, alright? Next example is this. So if it's exponential, and some of your homework is going to say to evaluate. So this is example 3. And so you have to evaluate. Evaluate if y is equal to 2 times 4 to the x, and we let x equal -2. Find y. Okay, what does that question mean? Well, we're given this equation, and if x is -2, I'm just going to plug it in here. Now, calculator. So if you guys don't have fancy calculators, most of you guys have a phone, right? Alright, most everybody has a phone. So we could go, then let's see, where's my calculator? My phone right here. Calculator, my phone right here. Now if I turn my phone this way, come on, come on, come on. There it is. Turn my phone this way. I can plug this in. So you can use your phone. So if I plug in -2, I'm going to plug that right into there, okay? So I'm going to rewrite this, because x is -2, so I'm going to rewrite this as a y equals a 2 times a 4 to the -2 power. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, I prefer to use my good calculator, but if you don't have a good calculator, you can just do this, okay? You got to do it backwards, so you've got to go first. You've got this button right here, y to the x. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go 4. I'm going to do this 4, and then I'm going to hit this y to the x, and then I'm going to go -2 equals, where's the negative sign? Well, let's try it again. 4, and then I need to do there's 2. 2 negative equals, oh, there we go. And then times that by 2, I get an answer, okay? 0.125. Or, well, thank goodness I have a better calculator than that. I can just go straight to 2. Hopefully you guys have a calculator handy. If not, you'll have to use your phone, won't you? To the -2 power, and sure enough, 0.125, okay? So that would be the answer. The answer would be 0.125, okay? So hopefully a calculator will be handy. If not, you've got your phone. Now, how about this? So the next one, let's look at example 4. Let's say we have to graph something like a y equals a negative parentheses 1/3 to the x. Alright, so that gets hard unless you either have a graphics calculator, which you might not, I'm sure you don't, or you've got Desmos. Now, you can load up Desmos. You can get the app. Let me show you. If you don't have the app, get it, okay? There's Desmos. You need to get this app for your phone because it'll do all the graphing for you, okay? So, get Desmos, okay? So, pause the video, load it up, get Desmos, start the video up again, okay? Alright, I assume you have Desmos now, you load it up, so let's go ahead and use Desmos. So, Desmos is a graphing calculator, okay? Let's see what we got here. So if I want to graph, for instance, let's go back, and I wanted to graph this one. So I've got y equals, and I'm going to put in my 2 to the x power, okay? There it is. It's exactly what I have right there. Look at that. Let's say I want to do the other one. Okay. Back that up. y equals 1/2. So I can go parentheses. I can go 1/2 is like 1 divided by 2. Okay. Over, close my parentheses, and then I'm going to go to the x power. Hey, looks exactly like what I just graphed. Okay, so if you can get Desmos on your calculator, on your phone, you got to make, you can graph these. Okay, so then flip the page back. Okay, now if you wanted to graph y equals a negative, I'll use my negative symbol, negative. I assume that's the negative. We'll find out, I guess. Parentheses, and I have 1 divided by 3 over arrow, close my parentheses, to the x power, to the power of x, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, it looks like this. Okay, everybody have that? So if I put that on my graph for my homework today, and that looks exponential. It still is exponential for 2 reasons. 1, the exponent. The x is in the exponent, so it's exponential. And 2, it's got that shape. It's got that like almost looks like a J shape. So I get my graph out. Okay. Seems to go through at 0, 1. So I'm going to put a dot here. And then the graph looks like this. Now, as you graph this, it will never, ever touch this line. It gets closer and closer to it. Okay. All right. How am I doing? Now, hopefully, you're going to get Desmos on your phone. You can also get them on computers. You can load it up on your computer. They're kind of slick on the computer because it's a little bit better screen. But you need to get Desmos, okay? Because we don't have graphics calculator. I'm the only one. So last but not least, example 5. Okay, let's look at corona. Okay, example 5. Let's just say this is a coronavirus. So let's say a biologist starts with 1,000 cells. Okay, 1,000, we'll say corona cells, coronavirus cells. Okay, and the virus doubles every 12 hours, and that's kind of what we're seeing, is this awful growth rate, and that's why we're all in lockdown. Okay, so the question is how many bacteria or virus, we'll just say virus, will there be in 3 days? Okay, so here's how it goes. We're going to go y equals, well, the beginning amount is 1,000. That 1,000 goes right there, right in the middle, right at the very beginning. Okay, beginning amount goes right there. That's the beginning amount. Put it in the beginning. Okay, now it doubles. Okay, so if it doubles, that's my growth rate. Doubles, that's a number 2, isn't it? So I'm going to put a 2 right here because it doubles. That's its rate. And then every 12 hours. So it's going to double every 12 hours. So then we're going to make this a 12t. Okay, so every 12 hours. So if it doubles every 12 hours, I'm going to put a t here. Okay, and then I'm asked, okay, 3 days. 3 days means this thing is going to double. Let's see. It's going to double once in 12 hours, then twice, then 3 times, 4 times it's going to double in 2 days, 5, 6. So it's going to double 6 times in 3 days. So I'm going to put a 6 right here, because it'll double 6 times in 3 days. So just use my calculator or Desmos or whatever you want to use. I like my calculator because it's a good calculator, so I'm just going to go 1,000 times 2 to the 6th power, and I get 64,000 virus. Wow, and that's what's going on right now today. Bummer. That's why we're in lockdown. It's because this virus just keeps growing way too fast. Okay, so keep doing the homework. Okay, you guys need to. You need to pass this class. It doesn't take that much work. Homework for you guys today, okay? We're going to do page 161, 1 to 14 all, okay? So, in number 1, I would suggest just do a little mini graph and see what the shape is, right? Number 2, same thing. Do a little mini graph, get graph paper out, do a little graph and see if the shape looks like what we've been doing, okay? 5, plug in, and you're going to go use a calculator, 3 to the 5th power, get an answer. 6, same thing, you're going to go 1/4 to the 3rd power, get an answer. Number 8, use Desmos, okay? It says compare, but don't worry about comparing. Domain and range we'll talk about tomorrow, okay? I don't want to talk about it today, but just use Desmos and graph this. Don't worry about these, I just want you to graph. Don't worry about the domain and range. We won't do that until tomorrow. 12, see if you can come up with an exponential function. I'll show you how to do that tomorrow if you can. And 14, graph both of these and see what the difference is. Okay, so that's your homework assignment. Okay, well, good luck. Text me, show me pictures of your homework. If you have any questions, let me know, okay?